Hi guys! So today I'm gonna talk about books! And as everyone knows, I love books. So I'm gonna talk about French classics. So first writer I want to talk about is Flaubert. I have two recommendations for you. I have L'éducation sentimentale and Madame Bovary. This basically tells the story of a young lady who gets married to a man she doesn't love. His doctor in the countryside, and she's dreaming of a life much more glamorous and kind of exciting. Some people really dislike the main character, Emma, but I just love her. I can relate to her in so many different ways, and the writing style is just amazing. And I think every person who loves French literature would like to read that one. L'éducation sentimentale, which is a little bit more tricky to read. It's longer. The style is a bit more difficult, I would say, as well, and because the book is longer, the story is longer, and there are lots of moments where you could get bored, I would say, probably, if you don't really like that kind of writing. However, the story is amazing. It's one of the most beautiful love story ever, and it's a love story that never gets to be lived. This covers so many different topics like friendship and fighting for what you believe in, and being lost when you're young, being in love, and losing this love. I think it's one of my favorite books, really, and I mean, I just love this book so much, I guess you can tell. Next classic is a bit more modern. It's Nadja by Breton. I think many people would not include this book in their favorite classics, or even just classics. It is a very interesting, very unique book. It's written in a style that's completely different from all the other classics you could read. It's full of beautiful words, beautiful sentences, and also it's beautiful because it gives you another world, I think, to see. It just creates association with words you would never think of, you know, but they sound and match so perfectly that it feels natural. Okay, so next book I don't have with me, unfortunately. Many of my books were left in my hometown. La Princesse de Cleves. It's one of the first classic novel that was written in French. That's a very pure, kind of beautiful love story. I wouldn't say I necessarily just love it, but I think it's a very huge classic that just couldn't not make it to the list. Next book is one of the most beautiful book ever written on earth. Les Liaisons Dangereuses. This book is amazing. The writer has written just one book, which sounds incredible because this book is amazing. The writing style is just to die for. It's perfect. It's like perfection in words and letters. It's just amazing. And who doesn't know the story, right? Next one is Memoirs de deux jeunes mariés by Honoré de Balzac. So Balzac is not one of my favorite writers by any means. This book, however, I liked. I think the storyline is quite interesting. It just basically tells the story of two young ladies who get married. They have very different lives, and they share with each other what their lives looked like, and yeah, that's all I can say, otherwise I would spoil the story. Next one is one of my favorite writers. It's Stendhal. Either you can read Le Rouge et le Noir, or you can read La Chartreuse de Parme. Le Rouge et le Noir is the easiest of the two. I think it's a very easy book to read, and it's a beautiful love story. I'm sorry if I sound like they're only love stories, but yeah. None of those love stories are cheesy and happy, which kind of, you know, balance it out. It's very well written. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of French literature, I would say. However, this one I really liked more, but it is much more difficult to read. It's longer. The style is more difficult to get into. The story also covers more topics, includes a lot of historical events, so it is a little bit tricky to read. The next two books are very different, and they're adventure books. I want to talk about Le Comte de Monte Cristo and 20 Milieux sous les mers. So they are completely different books, not written by the same author by any means. I read them when I was a kid, and they kind of built up my identity literature-wise because I read a lot of books of that sort. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is worldwide well-known. He's famous for a lot of his work because he wrote amazing things. I really like a lot of his work, but this one is really cool. Rêverie du promeneur solitaire. It's really hard to describe that. I wouldn't describe it as a novel, obviously, not as a short story either, not as an essay either. It's not really a diary, even though he wrote a lot of things that would go in this kind of weird diary section, like talking about his feelings and how he's living and his past and stuff. These are just words, ideas, thoughts, meditations, and they are beautiful because he was a beautiful man with a beautiful soul that could see the beauty in this world. Then another writer whom I love a lot as well, and I've read a lot of his books too, I had to pick one, so I picked up this one, Une vie de Maupassant. So this book is just so sad. It's the story of a young lady. She is living in a wealthy family. Her parents love her, and she gets married, and she thinks she's gonna be so happy in her marriage, and in fact it's completely the opposite. It's very realistic. It's very characteristic of a certain era and a certain literature. It's a must read. So yeah, that was it for my recommendations for the most beautiful classics in my opinion. Obviously there are many other classics that I love, but I just wanted to make a short kind of video. I hope you enjoyed watching that, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!